they have to wait a full week of not being able to compete before they have their week 7 match and they're winning in.
Yeah, RPG Limit Break also coming into play. Victoria Day in Canada, plus the start of the Memorial Day weekend for the US. It just felt like we should just give them a full 2 weeks for the process. Canis Samaria is in Link's house. Uncle's going to have an item, so that means these runners are going to have 2 items for escape, which is a good thing.
But no magic off the bat unless they happen to find Blue Cane or Fire Rod.
But they can get the 2 small jars near the near that first chest there in the tunnel.
That is true.
We did get a map check. All 3 of the dungeons in the light world are crystals.
Oh, that's always fun to see. Now, what is Uncle going to have for us? Oh, and it is Blue Cane. So we get both the canes right off the start.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about the whole magic thing. They can go ahead and use a little bit in this room here, see if they can't get themselves a bomb. And, oh, there we go. Hacksaww does get a bomb out of that. That's good.
Yeah, that is excellent. Getting it this early is super good because neither of the canes is great for farming, so it's nice to have that security in the back of your mind. Now, Rick, if this was you, which of the 2 canes would you prefer to be doing this escape with?
The Cane of Samaria, you can do a little bit more with it than you can with the Cane of Burna.
Yeah, I agree as well. The blue guards are a little annoying with Cane, but with good setups, they're no problem at all.
Yeah, because what we're going to probably see is both of these runners lay down a block in front of this blue guard, have him run into it, and then try to hit him with a beam afterwards. And there's 2. Oh, Hacksaww just missed. Leyra gets a perfect hit, though.
Yep, but thankfully, Cane of Samaria is pretty low on magic, so they have quite a bit to be able to clear this escape with. Oh, and Lyris finds his bomb as well, so both runners are going to be able to full clear escape on their first run through.
Yeah, that's always good to see. Now, that's the other thing about the Cane of Samaria is the amount of magic it uses compared to the Burna. It does matter. Hacksaw's having some issues here with the Cane of Samaria so far. Leyra's so far has done pretty well.
Yeah,
but that was good there for Hacksaww.
It looks like he might be just a little bit less practiced, but even still, both our runners are on a very good pace for getting through escapes so far.
But yeah, this is definitely a good escape here. Both of these runners getting that bomb they need, which is definitely good. Now, LeyraGG unfortunately hit with that guard in the way. Does get another bomb drop, so it's going to go ahead and use that to pick it up. And we do see Hacksaww going into the Burna strat. Leyra going double pots.
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't actually seen a runner do Cane on there, just because pots is so simple. Though slower.
A little slower, as you can tell by Hacksaww leaving with Zelda first, as Leyra now is in tow. Just a room back, though.
Yep. Nothing that just a couple of mice in the later part of escape or snakes couldn't change.
And already with 2 bombs in hand, there's no reason for Leyra to kill anything besides that one rat that they need to kill at the end of this process.
Indeed. And that's a big relief, because neither of these canes is what you want to be using to be killing snakes.
And even Hacksaww probably doesn't have to worry about killing a whole lot at this point as well. 41 rupees, which means Hacksaww can choose to buy some bombs in Kakariko Village if he needs to.
Yep, I imagine that's going to depend a lot on, 1, if he decides to go into Lost Woods, and 2, well, some runners might, what's at the tree pole.
Yeah, we're going to probably see some tree poles, maybe see what the Mutra Crab there has as well. But both of these runners have really no reason to do any killing unless they absolutely need to. Now, we may see Hacksaww attempt to move these ropes aside because they can get in your way. But Yeah, there he goes, right there. See if he can't get a drop from them, and no bomb drops, and nothing at all. So we see Leyra the first one to this chest, and it's going to be a 20 rupee.
Yep, overall, it's been a pretty unexciting escape so far.
That rope just doesn't want to get out of the way. And Hacksaww does get another bomb out of that Leyra, making it to the trolliest rat in this game.
Yeah, this guy has a number of little different patterns, and if you're not paying attention, if he slips by you, it's a real fun time hunting him down.
But it does give both runners the same RNG, as they were able to dispatch them with a Cane of Samaria hit, and they're going to go ahead and check the back three of Escape. We have yet to see the map.
And it
If I do
looks,
correctly.
I believe you're right, and it looks like it's going to be in the Sanctuary. Not much at all in that room. So it'll be interesting to see if our runners have been counting and skipped this chest.
Yep. Not that it takes a whole lot of time to open up that chest, but if you don't have to open it up, then go ahead and save yourself a few frames and just walk right out that door. As 6:05 escape for Leyra, Hacksaww is going to be towing in about 5 seconds behind that. Still decent times for this escape.
Definitely. With Cane of Samaria, that's a pretty great time doing the full clear.
Commentators miscounted, as that was a feat part.
Well, that's why they're 4-1 and we're commentating.
Exactly. So we already saw the map check. We know that both of our, all three of our dungeons are crystals in the light world, and there's confirmation right there. Tower of Hera is part of the 5-6 combo to unlock the Pyramid Fairy later on, as indicated by the star next to the Tower of Hera crystal thing, as we do see Hacksaww getting ready to go check what's in Lumberjack. Leyra is skipping that, and we'll go ahead and see what's in the Lost Woods. Let's go see what we get for the tree pull, and it's just singles.
And Red Boomerang is not enough to tempt Leyra, and I do not blame him one bit.
And the crab is turning up just a heart, which is not what we want to see at this point. Leyra picks up the ether out of the hideout, and oh, the single arrow is your reward for killing Aghanim this seed. Pass.
Yes, definitely. That being said, I do like Hacksaww actually making that check. Finding out that you have something important in Lumberjack Cave can really save you time later on your routing. And it does not cost you all that much time, especially compared to how much you can save.
Hacksaww opting to grab the boomerang.
It does have a few uses, despite the fact most runners consider the Bloomerang superior. And now we're getting to Thieves Town.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about rupees in this Thieves Town, as we're getting a whole abundance of them here. Over 300 rupees, in effect.
Yep, both of our runners are only going to need about 100 more rupees to be able to do Thieves Town, Bottle Vendor, as well as paying off Zora a little bit later.
So as a result, we're going to probably see Leyra going to buy some bombs real soon, as both of these runners are going to be down to 0 bombs. So that's going to alter how they route things in this Kakariko village. They want to get to the sewers, but without any bombs, there's really no reason to drop down, because then, well, you got to backtrack down that hole later on. And because this is Randomizer, watch the first chest they open be bombs.
Yeah, I mean, there are 4 chests down there. 3 of which you can access without bombs, so it is a gamble, but most runners will just go buy bombs. Well, this has been a pretty healthy start to the seed. Leyra is already up to 6 hearts.
And Hacksaww is grabbing that 6-heart container as well.
That's a really nice thing to see early on in the seed. It makes things like walking up to Ice Rod Cave just a lot safer. And if they do end up with relatively early Dark World access...
Now that's nice for routing there. We see a bottle with a fairy inside.
Oh,
And the
there
moon.
is... Yeah, that's a super great thing to see.
And that was Sanctuary Heart. And the Flu. Oh, this is a nice routed Kakariko village.
Oh yeah, it's wonderful to be able to, one, do your full clear of the village, but two, having the mobility and flute is awesome.
And I was incorrect. There are no bombs in that well. I'm sorry.
Who knows?
Move
Maybe,
on.
maybe this seed won't completely troll our runners.
It's version 29 randomizer. Are you kidding me?
No, you make an excellent point.
So
Now-
the nice thing about being able to get that flute is they're going to be able to route right straight to the South Shore area once they're done checking the race game.
Yep, it saves just a little bit of time over the save and quit walking down from Link's house.
And we find our first shield in the back of the tavern, and it's time to go ahead and go see what we have in the library, see whether or not the boots are going to be required. We already know that it's not going to be required post Aghanim because of the single arrow. And not for 20 rupees either.
Nope, don't think we'll be seeing our runners check either of those boots locked locations again.
All right, let's head on over and see what we have in the race game. The race game has, the Power Glove. We're going to be backtracking to grab that.
Yeah, that's super important. With the rest of Kokori not having much in terms of early game progression, finding gloves is a really good thing.
Yeah. Kakariko Village with the Flu is interesting because that does unlock the early check of Death Mountain, but they're going to wait until we have a couple more items before they make their way up there, unless they absolutely have to.
Yep, and gloves also does let them do it if they don't mind the fairly easy dark room.
So, LeyraGG picking up the gloves, and Hacksaw's about ready to go see what we have there as well. And Hacksaww blew the flute, moved out of the way because you need those gloves. So down here to the swamp area, 2 items up, and there, the Titan's bit. That's Dark World access.
12 minutes, 20 seconds. That is incredible. Well, now our runners are definitely happy that they're sitting at, 8 hearts already? Because with Green Mail, the Dark World does hit fairly hard.
Certainly does. And at this point in time, there's only one dungeon they can beat.
Yep, I don't know about you, but I am really excited to have the chance at seeing Kane of Samaria blind.
You know what I'm talking about. It's like to see to send them up for a Dark World visit. And watch, though, that Thieves' Town turns out to be one of the 3 pendant dungeons.
That would certainly be par for the course with version 29.
Oh, nice
And with
bombing
the-
here for Leyra.
Yeah, that was very well done.
Silver arrows.
Such a relief to find that early, even without the bow.
But a whole bunch of money. 488 rupees down to only 12. And, well, if you can get that... Well, no, never mind. You're not going to be able to get that 20. But if Leyra was able to grab that 20, we could see the sequence break to go grab the Zora area. But we're not going to see that right now. Leyra's going to go check and see what we have over here. That desert turns out to be a heart container. Let's go see what Agina has.
Yep. Now, if he had gone up to Ice Rod Cave, there with access to gloves, there is a cave that has 20 rupees in it right there. So that was also an option to hit the 500. So while Leyra checks Agon's cave, we're about to see where Hacksaww decides to go next. And we'll see if we have some more route divergence.
And just an arrow upgrade at Agina, so nothing really good there. As Leyra loads up the flute, could we see an early Myers shed?
It's not a bad check. It's always nice to know what, one, what the Dark World crystals are, and two, what medallion you'll need. Hacksaww, meanwhile, is going up to Ice Rod Cave, and he does already have the 500 rupees, so I'll be curious to see if he does fake Flipper.
that's what Leyra is going to be doing. We are going to see a Mire Shed. All right, map check. We have pendants. Oh, of course, these sound is a pendant. Green pendants over at Ice, the red pendant over at Swamp, and the other part of the 5-6 combo is Turtle Rock.
And Hacksaww only finding a bomb upgrade and Ice Rod. Now, an interesting thing with that crystal check is that with Swamp Palette being pendant, we might not need Mirror this seed.
That's a possibility, yeah. But we do find out Quake is needed again to Misery Mire at this point, and Hacksaw's getting ready for fake flippers. Nice half magic in Mire Shed and a blue rupee.
With the runner's current item set, finding an early half magic is actually really good.
It is really good, and that might make Thieves Town a little more appetizing at this point, even though it is for a pendant. Hacksaw's checking to see what's on the island. Oh, we do need the mirror hammer on the island.
Ooh, that's huge. And Hacksaww knowing about that before Leyra could really change things.
Yeah, especially since Leyra is heading right straight for the Dark World. So where is the mirror? That's going to be a fascinating question to be answering here for the next little while, because that hammer unlocks a lot of this game. Old Man has, of course, he's got some love, the hobo rather.
Yeah, with this early Dark World access, there's a lot of locations open up to our runners where that mirror could be hiding.
You know, getting a single heart normally out of that chess game is not what you want to see, but Leyra liked seeing that, considering that they were down to 2 1/2 hearts. So we're going to head to Zora here, and that's going to allow for 3 items to be contained, and plus we get to see what's the 4th on the ledge.
Meanwhile, Leyra not finding much at all in Dark Thieves Town.
Yeah, the Village of Outcast not providing to be a great splendor at this point, but it's still early. We've only seen 2 items here. We see a piece of heart and a 20 rupee inside the waterfall.
So we get to find out now just how big of a ripoff Zora wants to be to our runners today.
You'll be a big ripoff. But there's the mirror!
Oh, so we need flippers now. Or boots and some creative use of a minor glitch.
Yeah, exactly. So now that we know where the hammer is, we now know where the mirror is, the next question is, where are the flippers? Does Zora have them? Is this vanilla? No, but it's the fire rod!
Wow, that is one of the better things that Zora could have.
And by the way, that is not a sequence break. Getting that fire rod from Zora is not a sequence break because of the mitts or gloves.
So, hilariously enough, our runner Hacksaww now actually has, if he wants to, full access to Ice Palace. Which is not something you can usually say at 18 minutes into a run.
Yeah, but you don't want to go into Ice Palace at this point.
Oh, of course not.
Especially since you know you can't beat it because of that hammer.
Nope. But it is just a rather odd thing to have happen.
So it looks like Leyra, instead of going into dungeons right now, is settling upon the idea of doing some overworld exploration. As we look at the chest behind Sahasrahla, and we get some money out of it. And just to answer the chat question about him not swinging down to get mirror, he can't without the flippers at this point. At this point, even without the boots, you can't do the water dashing glitches at this point. You're kind of confined to waiting to come back, but the knowledge is great at this point.
Yep, yeah, and that's 2 very important items that right now Leyra has no idea about.
Yeah. There's 2 huge essential items. The hammer being, as we pointed out, one of the biggest items of this game. Now, Hacksaww thought about going to Skull Woods, but you can't beat it just yet.
No, and it is a little risky to hope that one of the 2 items in there happens to be your sword.
Sometimes it can be, but you kind of want to explore other places. We do see some mail. More money. and more love. And Leyra's going to go ahead and return the breadsmith back home at this point.
Yep, that's about par for the course for Hype Cave, though that blue mail is a very nice thing for our runners to be finding this early.
Yeah, but we've already seen enough health in this game. Leyra goes and grabs a bomb out of the rock, which is good knowledge of where you can get stuff in this game. And wouldn't this be funny if this or the purple chest yields the flippers?
Oh, that would be absolutely horrible for our runners. Having to do these early fetch quests without mirror is such a pain.
But wouldn't it be awesome for us?
I mean, you make a great point.
Thank you. And we have a piece of heart out of the breadsmiths.
Now, it'll be interesting to see if Hacksaww decides to do all of Thief's Town now or only check the first 4 chests.
I'm concerned about his magic at this point, because you're going to need the magic in order to beat blind in this capacity. Obviously, if we get the 4 items, that's it. We're out, but we'll see. There's a bottle, but without anything in it.
Yeah, and Thief's Town is not exactly known for having magic drops in it.
Oh, Hacksaw's doing the death abuse here, and you saw him empty out the fairy out of the bottle because he knew that if he took the death with the fairy in there, he gets revived. Doesn't need that. Leyra's heading up to the Ice Ride Cave and probably will be setting up fake flippers after that. So the knowledge that Hacksaww has at this point will soon dissolve.
Yep, meanwhile, Hacksaww is finishing up some of the other chests that Leyra has already seen. So both our runners here pretty shortly should be on basically an even playing field again.
Yeah, the only question is that half magic that Leyra has is a very nice find. When will Hacksaww head on over to Meyerstedt? We know Hacksaww is going to have to go over there. We've seen the map. Getting the knowledge that Quake is going to be required, getting the knowledge that the half magic is there would be also nice as well, as Leyra does the fake flippers as well. And once, as we pointed out, we'll get the news about the hammer being on the island, providing they actually check it. Ooh. Well, we're going to have to see if Leyra comes back a little bit later on to see what's on that island, because having that knowledge about hammer is really nice to know.
Yep. Yeah, so much of the game, and especially some of the crystal dungeons that we have, are locked behind that. You never really want to head into, like, for instance, Pod without hammer.
And Leyra here. Now the question is, do we check the island? Leyra would be in a bad position if they decide not to check that island.
And Hacksaww decided to skip the Jeremiah World Tour, which is actually kind of interesting. It's not that long of a backtrack to get another item.
And there's Leyra getting the knowledge about the hammer, so we'll soon have the knowledge about where the mirror is. So, that's really nice, the fact that the game tells you pretty much, hey, look, here's a hammer. Oh, by the way, here's where the mirror is. Haha, good luck.
Yeah, it's kind of a strange reversal on the seed's tendency to hide important items, in that we know where the important items are, we just can't get them.
And here's the thing, at this point, we've got to wonder where exactly those flippers are, because there's going to be soon a shortage of where we can go.
Yeah, there's a few awkward checks they can do, like Skullwoods and a couple checks on Death Mountain, but that's not super exciting.
We have those 3 possibilities. The other possibility at this point will come into play with regards to Eastern Palace. Neither of these runners have stepped inside there. We are still 2 items. We're still 3 items away, actually. 3 items away from Aghanim.
That's true. It's actually a really interesting call to decide if you want to finish up Thieves Town or if you want to go over to Eastern. Because Eastern can have 3 items, but the way it tends to be locked only lets you get 2.
Nice move there by Hacksaww to jump into the water, use the invincibility frames to save himself from the Myrtledactyl. So now where does Leyra go at this point? It looks like Leyra is settling upon a return trip to the Dark World. And just a reminder that Skull Woods right now has 2 possible items, but the dungeon is not beatable. Hacksaww is electing to go with a sequence break, and this is because we don't have the lamp at this point. So the old man, we know, won't have the next progression in the chain. He could have something useful.
Yep, for instance, he still could actually have the flippers, and we're just missing lamps somewhere that's logically accessible.
We do see the big key in the first chest here in Skull Woods, as Hacksaww not letting us know where he is.
I heard the bats, though, so he should be fine now.
Yeah, there's the boots!
Oh, that's huge.
Now, sequence break could come into play if these runners know how to do it. Fireball shield from the old man.
Yeah, every minute that Leyra has these boots over his opponents is huge. They are by far the best mobility item in this game.
So now we've got to wonder if either of these runners, once they get the boots, if they're going to go ahead and do that sequence break. It would be a huge play if they go ahead and do so. Now, Hacksaww has no other play up here, so it's going to just dive in here blind without taking a look first to see what's in there.
Yeah, it is annoying having to go set up the boots glitch to get to Mirror, but Flippers does get them over there relatively quickly, and Mirror just opens up so many items.
Yeah, exactly, and we'll see if Leyra does try to do that, but it would have to be done from the light world if we're even going to see it come into play at this point in time. So Hacksaww looks like we're going to head to Eastern. Oh, there's our first sword right there, but we do not have the cape.
I really do like his check of that, though. Checking that cave after coming out of Skull Woods is one of the best times you have.
I agree with that, and I'm surprised that Leyra didn't check the big key chest in Skull. It's out a little bit of a ways from where you were going to go, but it's still a check that you could actually make. Now, here's the thing about finding that boots. That opens up King's Tube, as we're going to see here from Leyra. Hacksaw's giving us an idea of what maybe 2 or all 3 of the items in Eastern are.
Yep, and unless he gets very fortunate in here, he will not be able to finish the dungeon.
Well, that's a compass. You can't beat the dungeon without that.
I don't know. I think some runners might argue that.
But you need to know how to get to the boss.
I would hope our 4-and-1 runners at this point have figured out where all the bosses are in the game, but you never know.
But we need to know where they are. We need to know how to get there.
This isn't Key Sanity. Compasses don't do anything useful for us.
There's the map. So now we definitely know how to get to the Armos Knights.
And we also know that one of the items is locked on Knights, so we will only be able to get 2 items out of here.
We also know that only one of the items is before the lamp block.
Yep, now if Hacksaw's fortunate, this next chest will be the big key to make his routing a little easier.
Later, we're getting the news that the single arrow is the item to beat Magnum. We are still 3 items away from Magnum at this point. There's the book. Oh!
Wow, so we now have access to Desert Palace, but with Boots being an early find, you have to wonder if it's Boots locked.
Wouldn't that be nice and evil?
It certainly would be. It's always fun when each of our runners has one important piece of the puzzle but doesn't know where the other one is.
Looks like Leyra's trying to go up to the mountain. Looks like Leyra gave up on the search up here, just trying to see if we can't find something progressive. We know this isn't going to be anything. It just turned out to be a 10 bomb upgrade, as Hacksaw's going to go ahead and get the big key out of the big key chest.
Yeah, it's actually good that Leyra was able to get out of that dark room. If you get lost in there, that can be very, very unfortunate.
So there's the big keys. So now the next thing we see, we know it's going to be an item, but it is behind the lamp by LeyraGG. So we still are waiting to find out where the flippers are, as Leyra now gets ready to head back over to the dark world.
Yeah, at this point, I'm just going to guess that Leyra is either not thinking about doing the boots dash to get over to Orb, or he just wants to do Thieves Town for some reason.
Yeah, I think Thieves Town is going to be the play.
For him, it's the only logical access I think he has, outside of heading over to Eastern.
Yep. So Hacksaw's going to try to see if we can't find something else on this puzzle, because remember, we've on the book. We may have access to an item. We may have access to 2 items. One of them could be very important.
Or we could be locked out of here without the boots. Either way, we're going to find out very quickly. If this first chest does not have either the small or big key, Hacksaww will have to leave and come back later.
So I am getting more and more curious to see if we do try to do sequence breaks around here. So let's go ahead and find out. Is this desert beatable? It still could be. There's a small key.
That's certainly a good sign for it. Now we have 2 chests.
Oh goodness, could this be a Lamo? And this is a beatable dungeon. There's the big key. This could be a Lamo on Burnistrats coming up.
Well, they do have a fire rod, which makes this considerably easier.
That's right.
But,
yes, you are right.
But Hacksaww will need to find some magic, because it's going to be real tight if he doesn't. Because they're also going to have to use that fire rod to light both of the lamps.
Very good point.
But I am with you. I would love to see them have to do bombs, Cane of Burnas, Landmolas.
We've already had one race that turned out to be like that. Sword on the torch!
Oh my goodness. No, Hacksaww, you know where both of the items are. Why are you... Wait, do you? No, I can't count. Never mind.
He doesn't.
I got too excited thinking about our canes and fire rod.
Landmolas will have the second item.
So we now know where the 2 swords our runners need to actually beat the game.
Yeah, but where's that cape?
Oh, probably hiding in the same place the flippers are.
I was gonna say Ganon's Tower for the magic cape, but we know the flippers can't be there.
That is true.
Wait, no, it can't be. It can't be. That's right. We need the hammer for a lot more things than just the flippers.
Yep. We also have, yeah. And flippers cannot be pedestal either, because Ice Palace.
Well, Swamp Palace also has something to do with that there, too.
Oh, yeah, that is marked as a pendant down there. Hacksaww doing nice Cane of Samaria strats to try to save his magic for the rest of the Landmolas fight.
Yeah, and he does know where that jar is here in this room, so that's good to know. We get a map here, and that means there is an item in the big chest here in Thieves Town. Oh, goodness.
And Leyra is getting bodied hard. Those guys did not want him to get out of the jail cell.
Ganon put his biggest minions at this point. All right, so with as much magic Hacksaww has, and with the fact that both of these runners are 4-1, I don't think we're gonna see any issues. This should be a 1 cycle. Oh, it's not going to be. Never mind.
Oh, that's really bad.
Yeah, we're getting down there with the magic here. Is this going to be enough?
Nope.
Nope. Dun. All right, looks like we're pulling out the good old Cane of Samaria.
I did not know Cane of Samaria actually damaged Slime was. That's good to know.
Yeah, it's his only chance at this point. Oh, we're going bomb strats. Oh, goodness.
Well, it's a good thing he has 10 of them, because this is not a fun thing to do.
And Leyra's going to go and finish blind. Blind drops bombs. Hacksaww could use some of those right now.
Yep. Oh, Landmoles is not being good.
All right, we do connect with one of the bombs, but we're down to 3 bombs at this point. Oh, that's a nice connected hit right there. Hacksaw's knowing how this boss fight works. Got him!
With no bombs remaining. Well done, Hacksaww.
And 300 rupees the reward for that.
Bit of an anticlimactic prize to what was an excellent fight.
It was a great ending there for Hacksaww. Wow. Knowing how the Lamolas work, how to take care of them kind of fast like that. Good improvisation there by Hacksaww. Leyra going to go see what this purple chest is, because we are really running out of locations.
Yep, this is going to be very interesting, because Hacksaww has not checked this yet.
Shovel!
Sure, why not? Keep the fetch quest train going.
You want a fetch quest? Leyra says no, but we're gonna have to go on one anyways.
Please just once have Shovel find Mushroom.
You are an evil, evil commentator. And we're gonna have the chat burn you if this turns out to be the mushroom.
Ah, no, just rupees.
Rupees, okay.
I'm safe. Whew.
Where's the progression then?
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a really tough one. Because we get 1 sword. Leyra will have access to Desert Palace after Eastern, but that only gives us 1 sword, which is not Agam.
Ooh, Mothula!
Oh, you're right. Yeah, that'll give us Mothula access. So we get to go into Skull Woods. Again.
The double dip Skull Woods!
Yeah, this seed decided that giving our runners super early Dark Worlds access was too nice, and I had to turn the rest of the logic hunt into a nightmare.
Hacksaww, I think it's time to go visit Skull Woods. But here's the thing with Hacksaww. Hacksaww knows that this will lead to a sword. Will Hacksaww go and get this sword?
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see.
So we know one more item is here in Skull Woods. Leyra will be able to beat this dungeon once they pull the book out, and they'll be heading on over to Desert right afterwards.
I would assume so. I don't believe there's anything else they can do.
Unless they do a bunch of sequence breaking, which is still a possibility.
That is true, though I would have expected to see it at this point. If you don't have to if you can get away with not double dipping Eastern Palace, you definitely want to do that.
So small key there, so that does confirm that the second item of Skull Woods is behind the Fire Rod. So that just kind of more leads me to believe that Mothula is going to have that second item of Skull Woods, and it's our progression.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right on that, Rick. Which is absolutely delightful, because Hax is over here first, but he has no access to it.
Yeah, because he wants to check this chest down here. He wants to find out what's in here. And I'm going to guess that this is probably going to be absolutely nothing. It's going to be a dungeon item.
I mean, I certainly am hoping that. It'll be the most entertaining for sure.
And there's the compass. So yeah, Mothula does have the next item up for bids for these contestants. And the price is wrong.
Now, Hacksaww, what are you doing?
Death
I was
Warp.
expecting to save and quit, though.
No, because he still has the one other item here in Skull.
Oh, okay, I see. He didn't
still
check the
has to
front.
get the boots.
Right, he didn't do the front half. I'm just not used to see runners skipping the front half before doing the back half.
Leyra getting the rupees out of the big chest. Desert time for Leyra. Hacksaww about to get the boots.
And Leyra is heading over to Desert, so he is going to be our first runner to get a sword at somewhere around, 45 minutes.
Probably more like 42. I think Leyra's going to check that spot first.
Yes, I am wildly overestimating how long that cutscene is.
Wait a second. I need to do a little bit of fact checking here. There's the boots for Hacksaww. Okay, so yeah, Mothula has the second item. I thought it was going to be something evil, like it's going to be the big key that gets you it. Hacksaww is just setting up the warp point. Doesn't get the bomb jump on the first try. Gets a second try. There's the map. And again, confirmation for us that we already knew this seed is a big, gigantic jerk.
And we also are seeing Leyra do, again, good cane strats to preserve his magic, realizing how important that fire rod is going to be for Landmola's.
Well, don't forget, Leyra's going to have the sword.
But do you really want to be doing fighter sword Landmola's when you have access to fire rod?
Well, no, but it makes the fight less stressful than what we saw from Hacksaww about 10 minutes ago now.
That is true.
Now, Hacksaw's going to go ahead and check these two spots here on the map that we already know is not going to be anything special. You just got the boots. You're going to check them. I see Hacksaww beelining it for Desert to pick up that sword, though.
Yeah, I think he pretty much has to, and both of these locations have nothing.
Now, one thing that Hacksaww didn't do is to check the purple chest. But it's time to go to 6. Well, let's try that again. It's time to go to 6.
Minor detours.
Just wanted to see that swamp.
Not a thing many runners would ever say.
Okay, they don't want to say that, but... Okay, so we've got probably about 4.5 minutes until we find out where this seed wants these runners to go on this progression. What do you think the progressive item is going to be?
Well, Flippers is a strong choice because of how much it opens.
Hacksaww just wants that thing to get out of the way so he can get the sword.
But Hookshot is actually another item that would open up a lot of the seed to our runners. So I kind of feel it's got to be one of those two.
You know how the seed could be a bigger jerk?
Oh?
Quake.
And you were saying I'm the evil commentator.
All right, looks like Hacksaw's going to be the first of these two runners to get over to Mothula as Labor goes and wraps up Desert.
Yep, a very nice fire rod fight.
Okay, so we've got some good answers from chat. We've got some people saying the hook shot. Now, I kind of wished it was just the lamp, but the lamp doesn't unlock anything at this point that we haven't seen.
Yep, and doesn't really give them any other access either. But this is fun. 45 minutes into our run, and both of our runners are very, very close to each other.
Yeah, the only real difference is that Leyra has searched out Thieves Town. One item still in that dungeon, though.
Yep, and he's also done our lunchbox.
So, if this does not turn out to be the flippers, what do we start thinking? Do we start really looking into the possibility of either of these runners doing the water dash to skip the flippers requirement to get the mirror and then the hammer? There's a lot of components coming into play here, as Hacksaw's going to have to wait a couple of extra moments because, well, we swung the wrong way.
Yep, but that bunnied pug is adorable, so we can't complain too much.
It is. All right, half magic with Mothula. This should not be a difficult fight, but we know this is going to be the progression. Nice dash into him to get a hit on him early on.
Yeah, one thing I've seen a number of our higher win runners do is dash sword strats into Mothula, but usually with tempered.
Nice fight for Hacksaw. And it's our flippers. There we go. So we've got our progression chain. Time to pick up the mirror. Time to pick up the hammer.
And away we go.
Where do we go next? You know, this opens up two possibilities at this point. Actually, it opens up three possibilities.
Yeah, if I was our runners, I would take those and head right up Death Mountain. With Power Gloves and Mirror and Hammer, we have full access to both light and dark world sides.
Four possibilities. Thank you. I wasn't even thinking of that. I was thinking Swamp is open, Ice is open, and you can get into Palace of Darkness.
That is true. And actually, there is one other item. They still have the Basement of Thieves Town.
Yeah, Hacksaw has more of a reason to go in there, not having done anything besides the first four. Leyra having a difficult fight here, not as smooth as Hacksaw's fight was.
But he does do a very good job of finishing up with Fighter's Sword.
Yeah, definitely. Both of these runners doing a good job of that Mothula fight. Gets them tackled down, gets the flippers, and it's time to go pick up the mirror, time to go pick up the hammer.
So at 12 minutes, we had the seat open up, and at about 48 minutes, our seat opens up as well.
Yeah, this one is a huge opening up the seat here. This is pretty much the world is now almost completely open to them. So Hacksaw will save and quit here, go back into the dark world. Now the annoying thing is that you still have to go the long way around. So you're gonna have to go over to the Thieves Town portal to get your way back to the dark world. So this is annoying for this aspect, but it's what you're gonna have to do to get this seed going.
Oh, extremely.
So if you're Hacksaw, you're heading on over to this to where you need to go. You're probably gonna check the South of Haunted Grove cave at this point.
I would certainly imagine so. It's a great time to do it, and pretty much the only time it should be even remotely in our runner's path.
But the other possibility that we could see is if you want to check Graveyard Ledge, you can do that. Oh, Hacksaw's doing the trading sequence because they haven't done the trading sequence yet.
Oh yeah, this is a very good time for him to grab that chest.
But the other way you can go is to the north side. Check Graveyard Ledge. That gets you over to Pyramid. You could also check Quakefish if you want.
Yep, those two are typically routed together, due to their both being somewhat out of the way. And with where our red crystals are, it doesn't seem too likely that our runners will end up having to check Pyramid Fairy.
The only thing that's going to be tough about Hacksaw's routing here is that Lee's Peg Cave is a loose square.
Yep, and unless he ends up finding Powder or Mushroom, it's going to be the only loose square over on the side.
But Leyra's got that same problem as well. And Hacksaww is not checking south of Haunted Grove. Well, if there's something big here, this could be very important. And Leyra finds a piece of heart. Okay.
It is a very interesting decision, though. I have to wonder if he just forgot. Well, Shovel is a good reason for him to go back over there.
Yeah, I forgot the fact that we had that. We know that Shovel isn't anything. Leyra's going to check the Bombos tablet. We can't get what's in it just yet, but the knowledge is important.
Yes. Especially since Leyra does know where a second sword is if he happens to find...
Ooh, Bombos is in the Bombos tablet. We've got ourselves Vanilla. Now, if that turns out to be the requirement to get into Turtle Rock, that's good knowledge for Leyra.
It is. And if he happens to find the cape, he will also know where his second sword upgrade is. So Hacksaww looking like he's going to go check the Shovel location, and then I'll be very curious to see where he heads next.
Yeah, at this point in time with the hammer, you've got to start thinking about some of the dungeons. And you pointed it out, Death Mountain is probably where the next route that needs to go at this point.
Yeah, there's a considerable number of items over there. The only thing you feel a little bad about is that you don't have Hookshot.
But you could very well find it up there.
Certainly, with the number of chests.
Oh, here's the sink. Oh, Leyra didn't check go. Leyra noped out of the old man earlier, so the sink is gone. The sink was there for all of 2 seconds.
Yeah, Old Man Cave is not too hard of a dark room, but if you don't have a sword and you get lost, that can be a very, very bad time sink.
So Hacksaww now going to go check, and I believe we're going to get an Ether tablet check.
Perfect time to be doing it.
Just a little piece of love, a piece of heart, not really needed.
Nope, our runners are very healthy. Oh, and Hacksaww unfortunately blocks himself out of Tower of Hera.
I hate dead rocks.
They are the worst. Alright, so we're about to get our first check of Tower of Hera.
Yeah, this makes a whole lot of sense. This is the dungeon you can beat. You could have some progression in it. We do know that the basement's not going to be required to get the crystal out of here.
Which is always a nice thing to see.
And a piece of heart, the first of the 2 items here in the Tower of Hera.
Yep, not something our runners, though, really want to see. They would love to find a little bit more progression.
They've got a whole bunch of items they can check a little bit later on for that possible progression. And who knows? I mean, we just mentioned about that Bombo's possibility for Turtle Rock, but what if it turns out that the Ether is the one that's required to get into Turtle Rock? Oh, Mushroom, do you want another fetch quest?
I mean, we've had all the other ones. Might as well complete the collection.
We just needed powder to complete the trifecta.
Unless our runners want to fake powder.
Fine, we can do that.
And Hacksaww demonstrating the power of the hammer on the Troll Dorm fight.
Absolutely 3 hits, and this is knowing how to deal with your bosses, how to play around and not get hit by them and not have to worry. There's the map, and we are done. Oh, wait. Did we get... We only got 1 item out of here, didn't
Nope, we got 2.
No, we got 2.
Piece of
Piece of
heart.
heart was the other one.
And I missed it, but it looked like Leyra didn't check that chest in the first floor or just forgot, because he also opened the big chest, knowing he'd already found 2 items.
Yeah, I think it's a possibility they may have just forgotten at this point. Leyra now dealing with Moldorm as we head over to Spiral Cave. And Leyra finishing off with Moldorm 2. We find bombs, and Hacksaww is going to go and check to see what is required for Turtle Rock, because it's good to know what you need at this point.
Yes. While our runners are still several items away from being able to actually finish this seed, knowing those medallions is very important.
Ooh, Quake is required for both. So that ring of fire that's on the bombos, not required.
Nope. And with our runners already having Fire Rod, it wouldn't be needed for Ice Palace either.
And there's Leyra checking the chest there in the center. We now know that this is not required to go down into the basement. The Super Bunny Cave, not important.
Nope, both of our runners have plenty of bombs already.
So it looks like Leyra is following right in Hacksaw's footsteps. We're about to find out what medallion is required for Turtle Rock. Nope, I guess not. We're going to go ahead and go into Spiral Cave because the dead rocks probably got right in the way. Alright, we got into the Paradox Cave. 7 items to be found in here. Don't forget, we are still 2 more items on here. The Leyra is about to find out what one of them is in the Spiral Cave. That is a red rupee, not needed. There's our Quake.
Alright, so with Quake Medallion, do you decide to dip into Turtle Rock?
Oh.
With Fire Rod, you have access to a lot of it.
Yeah, you have access to it, and you could logically have access to everything except for the bottom 4 section here at Laser Bridge.
Yep, though I would expect both of our runners to be able to get through that dark room without too much of an issue.
They were going into the wrong cave, realizes that in light it's right.
So, I don't know about you, Rick, but I'm kind of now hoping for Vanilla Ice Rod. Or sorry, not Vanilla, but Turtle Rock Ice Rod.
I was about to say, we already saw Ice Rod Cave, and Hacksaww falling down the hole a second time. And let's go up one more time. 3rd time's the charm.
You got to admire his tenacity to keep doing this bomb jump instead of just going around.
We still have, by the way, as far as the pedestal index is concerned, a whole bunch of things that can be on that pedestal.
All right, Rick, what do we have? Because I'm seeing 4 items required to finish the run, but I haven't figured out what you can get into for just the pendants.
Well, we know that the hookshot can't be there. Hookshot's going to have to be found before we deal with any of the pendant dungeons, because of the fact that you need it for, at the very least, Swamp, and depending on key layout, for Ice Palace. But the bow can be there.
Ooh, bow would be spicy.
And
Hacksaww briefly tries hovering, but decides against it.
Yeah, the ice rod could be there as well.
Oh, I think Hacksaww might be going into Turtle Rock.
And here's the funny thing, by the way. Lamb could be on the pedestal.
That would be hilarious. For our 4-and-1 runners, I wouldn't expect that to be as much of an issue, but for most people who play Randomizer, that would be one of the worst things possible.
Alright, we have a possibility of 5 items inside of this Turtle Rock. We also have the access to Mimic Cave. And it looks like Leyra is thinking about hovering too, and Leyra fails, and, well, we're done.
I appreciate both of our runners trying, though.
They really want to find out what's in that hookshot cave.
Oh, this is interesting. Both of our runners are going into Turtle Rock.
This is a juncture where a one play could make the difference. And with both of these runners taking the same play, it's going to come down to how you execute.
Yes.
And Hacksaww, thankfully, remembering the fact that he doesn't have the hook shot, and therefore is going to take the long way around on this floating island.
Everyone's favorite merry-go-round. But yeah, taking an early dip into Turtle Rock when you can't clear it and it's a crystal is a huge gamble. Turtle Rock is one of, if not the longest dungeon to have to fully retraverse.
But it could pay off. We find an arrow upgrade as the first item, though.
Honestly, at this point, I'd rather just be finding red rupees than arrow upgrades.
At this point in time, I think they'd want to find something different than arrow upgrades or rupees.
Well, but the seed can't be that nice to them. Chain Chomp Room is actually being trolly for Hacksaww. Both of them are in a bad location at the start for doing the room optimally.
Yeah. And he's going to switch over to the Cane and Burner, which adds a little extra lag because you're hitting the switch all the time.
On top of all the lag we get from just using Burna. It looks like Leyra forgot to go the correct direction, but did not waste time lighting lamps, so they'll be just fine.
Yep, and there's the angry sword slashes at this point, realizing what just happened. And we're going to go ahead and see the big key chest coming up in just a few moments. We do get to see that pug sprite again.
Briefly, before the laser decides to have none of that. How dare it.
Alright, island! Compass! Now we know how to get to Trinex.
Rick, do you just always search out for compasses in your runs?
Well, there is a reason why I started this tournament 1 and 2.
Fair point.
I heard rumors about something about a mirror, though, but who knows? I don't want to go any further about that.
So, we'll get to see our first check of Mimic Cave here in a second. A cave that, due to the way the logic works out, is often skipped, as Turtle Rock is pretty commonly a go mode dungeon.
Although version 29 has found several ways to make Turtle Rock an early play, and that's what both of these runners are hoping at this point, is that Turtle Rock will pay off. But we just get 300 rupees, which is one of the last things that these runners want to see out of Mimic Cave.
Yep. So there are only 2 more chests that are in logic, but I fully expect both our runners to be going down to Laser Bridge.
Yeah, and one of them's guaranteed to be a key, is the case here. Last chest in logic here will be this roller room chest. That's because without the lamp, we can't get any further, but this could possibly be where the lamp is. But instead, it's just bombs.
And thankfully, Hacksaww does not trap himself behind the blue blocks.
That's really annoying when you do that. Trust me, those rollers hurt.
Yep, I'm aware there's a way to get the block to get you out, but I don't know it.
consoled Andy. He had a clip in the first tournament of how he could run and punt that thing across. As Leyra heads over to Mimic Cave, both of these runners here have split their paths just a little bit, but right now they're on the same motions here as we find a bomb upgrade. We know a key's going to be in one of these 4 chests. We still get to see the map.
Yep, and Hacksaww is doing a very good laser bridge. This is very well done. A few extra bonks, but not getting hit is the important part.
Absolutely. Though he just got hit there, but maneuvers around it, and unfortunately Ice Rod is not in Turtle Rock.
In fact, no progression or really anything of value is in Turtle Rock.
Yep, so both of these runners, they kind of got fooled around by the fact that the Quake was up here, but that's not where the seed wanted them to go.
Now, we know that due to both of these runners doing this, they're on equal footing, but as our runners, having just taken a very long dip for no reward, how do you think they're feeling right now?
Absolutely upset.
Yeah, I would be too. An hour and 5 minutes into the run, with a fair number of other overworld, well, with some other locations in logical access, I would assume I'm pretty far behind.
Hacksaww, now remembering the fact that he is yet to check Spiral Cave, I think this might be one of those tilt moments at this stage. So don't forget at this point, we do have access to Swamp, we do have access to Ice. We also do have access to the Palace of Darkness. It all depends on how the logic treats these runners and where the bow comes into play.
Yep. Now, our runner, I know Hacksaww has a blue potion. I'm not sure if Leyra does. But with that potion, they do actually have access to most of Pod if they know the glitch.
Oh, the bottle glitch, that's right. And we'll see if that comes into play. But first, let's trade in this mushroom that we found in Hera. Is that important? Well, not for 20 rupees. And I don't think that's what Hacksaww wanted to grab. He wanted just to go ahead and get the health up replenishment. As Leyra will go ahead and leave Turtle Rock empty-handed. Probably will go trade in that mushroom as well.
All right, Hacksaww, where are you off to? N5. I like this play.
That's not where Leyra is going. We are going to go and check to see... Oh, fake powder.
Thank you, Leyra. I love this glitch. It's just so bizarre that it works.
So fake powder, you're going to empty out your magic. You're going to go in here into the hole, and you want to explain the remainder of this?
And then using your Cane of Samaria at the bat, you switch to the mushroom while you have the negate sound, and for some reason the game thinks you are using powder. And Leyra gets its second try.
Yeah, it was a little too late hitting the menu the first go around. Hacksaww heading into the Palace of Darkness. Fake powder gets 20 rupees.
Well, so the mushroom has been worth 40 rupees in total.
Yay.
You don't have to sound so excited, Rick.
Yay. Just what these runners with over 1,000 rupees want to see. Well, Hacksaww doesn't have 1,000 rupees, but this is what these runners want to see at this point. Well, Hacksaww had over 1,000, so he ended up using up 110 on Kiki.
Yep. So Hacksaww does find a small key in the front, so logically they do have access to more of the dungeon without doing any glitches.
Gets a piece of heart out of that second chest. So now this next chest that Hacksaww will check is extremely important.
Yep. This will determine if he can continue in the dungeon without having to do potion glitch.
So small key there. Now the big question is what's in the big key chest? If that's another small key, then what we see Hacksaww doing is still within logic. He's not going to go check that because he's going to assume at this point that it's a key for a key. Leyra's checking checkerboard, which we haven't seen yet.
And what do we get? absolutely nothing as par for the course.
Hacksaww running out of magic before he could actually light the torch. Gets a small key. Let's see what else we can get in here besides the bonk. We get an unidentified object. And Leyra is going into Misery Mire.
I like this. It's another good play. Between doing Pod and doing Misery Mire, both are good options. Misery Mire can't really be go-moded effectively, and as it's a crystal dungeon, you just want to clear it.
And technically, you can beat this dungeon. It's just logically at this point, without the lamp, you can't.
And Hacksaww is doing a very good job of this dark maze.
300 rupees, why not?
And thankfully they have the mirror to get back out of here, because this is not a fun place to have to walk out of.
Okay, let's go ahead and see what Leyra finds in this Misery Mire. That's a map. That's not what we need to see. That's a piece of heart. That is not what we need to see.
And Hacksaww chooses to just leave right away and not do the potion glitch to check the right side chests.
Might be a case where you don't want to go too far out of logic and send yourself on a path that you don't know where you're going at this point. We find a small key there. It's Hacksaww taking a look at his map, trying to see what his options are. We know that there are 2 other options at this point, but also there's Pyramid.
Yep.
We haven't seen the Pyramid. There's also Quakefish. We haven't seen what Quakefish has.
Yeah, if Hacksaww wants to walk out of here, I'd really love to see him check both Pyramid and Catfish and just get those done. Especially with V29, Catfish seems to have an inordinate amount of progression items.
No, when I check it. 10 arrow upgrade is one of the 2 items here in Swamp.
Now, Leyra is doing an interesting bit of routing here in Mire, she really like, but typically do more in Go mode, and that is skipping our cutscene check.
Bombs there. I didn't miss what was in that chest. I think it was just a small key, though.
Yeah, I believe so, because he has 2 now.
All right, Quakefish, what do you have for us today?
Oh, without hookshot, we get to see if our runners get to do the very nice dash around. And Leyra forgets that he does not have the big key yet.
Something is missing. Oh, watch, we get the big key here. Surprised they didn't just drop down the platform and try to check this thing again. Here we go. Taking the long way around. Taking the scenic route. All right, Quakefish. What do you have for us? Are you progression? You are a green bottle of goo. That's not progression.
Nope. And not terribly helpful when our runners already have 2 bottles in red mail.
All right, well, we've got ourselves another key. Leyra looks like we are heading for Vitreous in the dark.
This will be interesting. To a lot of runners, this is a very difficult dark room. But there is a very good setup for it.
Here's a question here, and I don't know. First of all, we've for those who are tuning into the tournament this week, well, this and the No Major Glitches, there's new tech that's going on with regards to Misery Mire, but it's harder to set this up in the dark, so we probably won't see it be done here.
Yeah, if we see Leyra pull off this new Fire Rod strat in the dark, that would be one of the most amazing things I've seen in this tournament.
And the problem here is I think Leyra's trying to set it up in the dark, and let's just say that the Fireball, these things are not playing nice. Down to 2 hearts. Gotta be careful. Does have the Fairy in the bottle still. It's just going to go ahead and cut the losses
So he's
Go down
going
the
for
door.
the throw strats instead of the wedge yourself in a corner strat.
Wow. Well, this is something interesting. The fact that, you know, the fireball shield is protecting Leyra from losing that last heart. Now, this room here is going to be dangerous because, well, you got that spike still. That spike hits, but we do once again have that fairy in a bottle.
Yeah, which is a major relief. You do not want to have to go back through that room in the dark.
Absolutely. So we're going to go ahead and see how Leyra does with regards to these dark rooms, and we gotta wonder if Vitreous has the second item, because there's no guarantee that Vitreous has that second item. It could very well be in cutscene chest.
Indeed, and depending upon how Hacksaww chooses to route this, we might get to see that chest. Assuming he stops dashing into the little fireball.
Yeah, you might want to preserve some of your health here. So Leyra has pretty much taken care of the dark rooms here. Just one final room to go. But this is not going to be a fun fight against Vitreous.
No, this is not. And I would argue one of probably the greatest reasons not to want to come in here. Fighter Sore Vitreous is... You're not asking for a good time. And Leyra does choose to use bomb strats, which I think is a great idea.
Yeah, but we're extremely limited on how many bombs we have, and well, this is pretty much going south already from the get-go. Down to 2.5 hearts. Gonna have to be careful because we already lost the fairy in the bottle. Down to 1/2 heart.
But he does have that
Using the
blue
blue.
potion. Very good choice. Yeah, I don't believe he'll be able to finish off the eyes with bombs, but just getting as many of them low as possible will make this a lot easier.
Hacksaww in the 10 arrow upgrade. Will Hacksaww check the bottom? Yes, we will. All right. We will know whether or not Vitreous has that second item, or if that second item is over at Vitreous. And this is a very stressful fight here for Leyra.
Yeah, I'm glad to see actually that he quickly just ditched doing hammer strats, though he's not having as much luck with the sword either.
3 hearts remaining in a very stressful fight.
The first eyeball has just died.
Just got to be extremely
second.
patient with this fight.
Come on,
That lightning
Leyra.
was extremely close. Down to a heart.
Oh no, Leyra steps too far into the poison!
Into the goo! And that's a death. And the second item is a bomb upgrade at cutscene chest.
So it'll be interesting to see if Leyra's actually going back to the boss. I would guess he's just going to go do cutscene chest.
Hacksaww is leaving. Finding both items does not have any desire to do this in the dark. Hacksaww, remembering he also got to go check the checkerboard cave.
Yep, so assuming Hacksaww doesn't go back into misery... For him,
So-
pod's an option, but what else?
Ice and swamp. There still are big options at this point. Leyra is going to go check the cutscene chest.
That's actually a really interesting choice. It looks like he'll be doing Ice Palace, but if you have the choice between Ice and Hookshot-less Swamp Palace, I don't know which one I would choose.
It's a tough decision to make because you may only have access to a couple of items in Swamp, and depending on how you route yourself in Ice, you could have yourself access to more. But yeah, this is a tough decision. But also, you got to remember, Ice is the green pendant.
Yep, and actually seeing that now makes me like Ice a lot better. Just that access to one extra item is a real big difference.
And there's the bomb upgrade for Leyra. Leyra is going to grab that mirror, getting out of here. We'll come back when we have a better sword, or 2, or 3. We're gonna go quake these Pentagators.
Yep, with Fighter Sword and no Hookshot, that seems like a very good idea. Now, I don't know about you, Rick, but I'm looking forward to seeing hammer strats on Cold Stare.
Hacksaww still has the blue goo, right?
Oh, that's true. Right, Leyra was the one who had to use that, so that'll make it pretty easy for him to do full Fire Rod if he wants to.
Yeah, I'm thinking at this point what we're going to see from Hacksaww. As Leyra's going to go check Spike Cave. But what we're going to see here from Hacksaww is probably using a potion, and that allows him to use the Fire Rod a little bit more.
Alright, so Hacksaww does elect to do the first bomb jump in here. As he does have access to Canis Samaria, he technically doesn't need to. And if he is playing on full clearing, generally it's faster to not do this bomb jump.
Oh, Leyra's switching on over to the Cane of Samaria. That's a good decision.
And we finally find a lamp. An hour and 20 minutes into the seed, we finally have light. Well, that'll make it a lot safer for Leyra when he has to go back into Mire. And actually, Hacksaww never ends up checking that. That could really help even out some of the time loss Leyra is going to have from that.
Looks like Hacksaww is setting himself up for the bomb jump coming up here in the hookshot room. And Leyra is heading for the Palace of Darkness. But first, we're going to go check the Pyramid Ledge, which we already know is nothing important at this point.
Yep, same with Catfish. Hacksaww doing the hookshot bomb jump. This one is required if you want a full clear.
Gets the first try.
Well done. I think it's safe to say that is the hardest of the 3 bomb jumps you typically do in Ice Palace.
Yeah, Hacksaw's gonna have to be careful here, down to 1.5 hearts. And remember, Hacksaww does not have that fairy in a bottle, because Hacksaww ended up using the fairy, or removing the fairy to do a death warp in Thieves Town earlier.
Still, the rest of the dungeon shouldn't be too threatening to him, and he should be able to get down to the Cold Stare fight. We might actually see him dip down into the fairy fountain before doing that.
There is looking like we may see them decide to go somewhere different at this point, getting the green goo off the Quake fish. Now, do we head to Ice? Yes, Leyra is joining Hacksaww inside Ice Palace. And unfortunately, we've now seen 2 of the 3 items in here.
Ah, the call of the pedestal seed looms larger.
Still seeking the bow, still seeking the ice rod for possible pedestal required items. Still also looking for that hook shot. And we know the cape can get you the 2nd level sword.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that
way,
is... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm just gonna note, just based on how I'm seeing the keys shaping up inside this ice palace, I don't think the hookshot is going to be in here.
I think you're right. Now, a fun note about the sword, since most of the time you're not having to think about it, but Master Sword is required to beat the game.
And Hacksaww knowing about the Quake to kill the Pendigators is something that apparently he has an execution over Leyra. Leyra's not opting to do any sort of work with the Pendigators to the Quake.
And it looks, with the way he was hovering in the menu, I think he might have thought of it, but too late after he'd used all of his magic.
Bomb's the 3rd item. So if you're Hacksaww at this point, and you're still missing 3 items away from go mode, you start to wonder, should I finish this dungeon off in the event that it's a pedestal required seed? Now, this is a deep dungeon. The amount of time that Hacksaww has invested in here, you might as well finish it off.
Yep, I know from experience that it's about 3.5 minutes to get all the way back down to Cold Stare if you have to fight him, so you definitely don't have to double dip.
Hacksaw's 2 hearts really worry me at this point.
Yeah, I'm assuming we're going to... Well, actually, this is interesting, because to be optimal, you'd want to burn a few of your Fire Rod shots into Cold Stare before eating the blue potion.
Yeah, but he's not going to take any chances here. This is a fight where if you die, you do not want to have to make that trip back down here at this point. So it is better to be safe than sorry, and I totally get this idea.
Yep, and Hacksaww has perfect execution and gets it done on 1 magic meter anyway.
There's our green pendant. Sahasrahla could have something. 1 hour, 25 minutes, and 37 seconds. You are 3 items away from go mode. Now, 4 items from go mode because of the sword aspect. What is going through these runners' minds?
Well, you're actually starting to feel a little bit better if this does turn out to be a pedestal seed, because it makes some of the checks they've done a little less bad, like Ice Palace not having anything, for instance. But both runners know they wasted time in Turtle Rock and in Misery Mire, and that does not feel good at all.
All right, Sahasrahla, is the green pendant worth anything good? The bow!
Wow. And with that, we just got access to finish 2 crystal dungeons.
That is a huge find. That is a huge find.
Yep, and with neither of our runners having checked right side yet, there's actually more items than you would normally find with a late bow like this, and having dipped pod already.
And we also know that the Armos Knights are going to have an item because we've only seen 2 items inside the Eastern Palace.
Yep, so I don't remember how many items we already pulled out of pod, but we're going to have somewhere between 4 to 5 items that they can get from finishing these dungeons that we haven't seen yet.
There's got to be careful here. This could be a death that would be extremely costly if Leyra ends up dying in this dungeon. Goes to the ether to clear this room out. Good decision. Gets a fairy. That is a very generous fairy.
That could not have come at a better time. We'll just say that was planned and perfect drop manipulation, right?
Yep, exactly.
So Hacksaww is going to give us our first check of the right side of pod. And with those silver arrows, we get to do this a lot faster. And when he heads back to, when we get a Vitreous fight, that's also going to be much easier now.
Yep. Both of these runners with desires to finish this dungeon off by the looks of things. And so we just get a pair of keys. And Hacksaww is heading for the Hamasar King, and I'm taking a look at this point. That big chest location, the big key chest, is going to have an item.
Yep, I imagine he's going to clear the dungeon and then go back and get, because he didn't do the other front chest that's key locked, right? Because he has an extra key.
He did check Harmus Hellway.
The one for when you drop down on the left bridge.
But that one he has not checked, the big key chest.
Oh, sorry, yes, vanilla big cheat chest. For some reason I'm thinking the actual boss chest.
Leyra is taking a look at the menu at this point, and ew, no, don't grab that mirror. No, no, no,
Oh, no.
no. Oh no, this is huge. Oh, Leyra is noping out of Ice Palace. This is huge at this point.
Now, I understand why he does it. After those 2 failed checks and the death on Meyer, he has to be feeling super behind.
Is Hacksaww now heading to the Helmasar King? Leyra heading into the Palace of Darkness, but without the bow.
Now, Lyra does still have one possible chance at redemption here. If this does turn out to be a pedestal seed, he does not have to finish Thieves Town, whereas Hacksaww does. Now, obviously, those aren't going to be the same amount of time, but it at least doesn't put him as far behind.
And the only way that this is a pedestal required seed at this point is if the ice rod turns out to be on that pedestal. Alright, item here at Helmasar King. Is this the ice rod? It is not. It is 20 rupees. There's the crystal.
And we'll see a quick jump on over to Armos now to get one more item. But after that, our runners are going to have to go somewhere else. Sorry.
Ooh. Hacksaww is not checking the big key chest, and that is an item.
Ooh.
That's an item.
That could also be huge. So, in the meantime, we'll just assume that that chest doesn't have anything. Where do you go? Do you go into Swamp Palace without Hookshot? Or do you go finish up Thieves Town?
I think at this point you've got to go into Swamp. Alright, big key chest. Did I miscount? No, there's a sword upgrade.
Oh my goodness, that is a really good find for Lyra. Because that's the 3rd sword we now know about. There's only one other in Logic, or somewhere in the seed, and if they don't find Cape, they do not have access to the sword that Hacksaww knows about.
Oh, we got the bottle glitch coming up. So Leyra's going to clear out this room just to get rid of the enemies. We have a bottle. We're going to use the bottle at a particular time. And this is to go ahead and try to set up a manipulation of the camera. If we get it right, when Leyra moves to the right, yep, there you go. Move the mimic off the screen, and there goes the door. The room thinks it's dead. Now, the problem for Leyra is all that was behind here were 2 small keys. So there was nothing to gain out of this glitch. We still got to come back later with the bow. But at least for Leyra's case, this is a straight to Helmasar King at that point.
Yep, he'll have done everything for when he does come back here with the bow.
We do know, by the way, that there is one item here at the Armos Knights, and that item is an arrow upgrade. We are still seeking the hookshot. We are still seeking... Wow.
The ice rod.
Ice rod still booms.
And Hacksaww is still seeking his 2nd sword.
And has no idea about the sword that is at Bumper Cave.
That's true, yeah, he is not the one who checked that. Lyra did. So that's actually even worse for him, because if he happened to just find Cape, he might know to go get that and be able to skip the one in pod.
Alright, where does Hacksaww go next? The possibilities are starting to run out. We are heading to 3. Could we have a pedestal check? By George, we have a pedestal check. If this is the ice rod, the things that make things freeze, we have ourselves a pedestal required seed. If it is not, well, the pedestal dream is dead. But well, we can have ourselves some fun.
Yeah, I'm a little curious about this check because I'm not sure if there's many other locations outside of Swamp Palace and Thieves Town. So if you clear one and have nothing, oh, that has nothing.
Pocket change. Just move along. And move along we do.
Well, with that being the case, I think you are correct that he should be adding into Swamp Palace now just because of the more items. However, he does not agree with me.
Thieves Town, he still has several items in Thieves Town.
I think it's only 2, though. Or was there only 1 item in the front 4?
I believe we still have 2 items left to go, but there's 1 item we don't know about at this point. The big chest has an item.
That's right, because when Leyra came through here, he did not have hammer.
But that's not where Hacksaw's going. We are going to check the peg cave. And Leyra's got the same idea to check the pedestal at this point. Now that's bad news for Leyra because we know that they need to get to Cold Stare, get that green pendant for the bow.
Yeah, this could prevent him from going back in there for quite a while, which would be an absolute disaster for him.
And inside the pet cave we have the hook shot.
Wow. That's actually been in Logic for a very long time for our runners. If you're Hacksaww, I think you're actually feeling super behind right now.
And by the way, now that puts Hacksaww back in Logic. Because remember, Cold Stare was a sequence break. Because the seed wanted you to have the hook shot in order to get to Cold Stare.
That is correct.
And now Hacksaw's about to get some more information. Or not. We're going to check Graveyard Ledge. Then maybe we'll check Bumper Cave.
Yeah, that's slightly interesting routing. But it all depends upon where he decides to go next from here.
Leyra's about to get the hookshot as well. Now don't forget, there's also 3 items in Hookshot Cave that we never got to.
Yep. Though you never really want to be having to go back up Death Mountain if you can help it.
Blue Rupee, not what we're looking for. It's something that's cold like that color, but unfortunately what we're looking for is the freeze rod.
Yeah, unfortunately throwing blue rupees at Trinex does not actually beat the boss.
How do you know?
I'm just going to go on a limb and say because retro mode using rupees for arrows doesn't work.
But...
It's okay, Rick, you can dream. I won't take that from you.
Good.
So Hacksaww is...
Cave next.
Yeah. Outside of Swamp Palace, I think it's his highest item density location left.
I have a feeling Leyra's going to be coming up here as well. Wouldn't that be something if you could throw rupees at a boss and kill it?
I mean, with some of the way these seeds go, it would actually make, for instance, like Blind easier, if that damaged him.
Well, it wouldn't work on Blind, because Blind couldn't see the rupees you're dropping at it. How does Blind know whether or not you're dropping a single rupee, a 5, or 20?
That is an excellent point.
Ice Rod right there! Hookshot Cave!
And at 1 minute, or 1 hour and 38 minutes, we hit go mode, sort of.
Not yet.
Because Hacksaww is still looking for his Master Sword.
And Leyra is checking Swamp Palace.
So I think one of the most interesting bits of logic that we could still have is if Ganon's Tower decides to not have a sword in it, and there's no other sword in the Crystal Dungeons.
Hacksaww getting jellied. And then Hacksaww not really liking that result either. So far we know the swords. One was on the torch in desert. That's the one that both of these runners have. The one that Leyra has was in the Palace of Darkness the big key chest. We know there's a third sword up for grabs with the use of the magic cape and bumper cave. We don't know where the fourth one is.
But there is a chance we'll find out because Leyra is dipping into Swamp Palace.
Well, we know there's a upgrade in Swamp. It just turns out to be the shield, not the sword.
Yeah, not too terribly useful for our runners now, as they've already done laser. So while we have a little bit of a time here, while Leyra gets to some of the new chests and Hacksaww gets the Turtle Rock, this is a great time to point out that, to thank the two people who made this possible, and that is our runners. So if everyone would please just give it up for Hacksaww and LeyraGG, give them a follow. They've done an excellent job in this race. It's been super entertaining. We've still got a couple more weeks of this tournament, and I think it's pretty likely we'll see both of them moving on to the brackets.
The winner's guaranteed to move on to the brackets. The loser, well, they still have a solid chance, but next week will be very important for them. And when I mean week, we mean week number 7, which will begin starting Memorial Day and lasting through that following Sunday. So Leyra finds another bottle. That's our 4th bottle.
And Hacksaww is about to start Trinex with the fighter sword.
Yeah, we're going to see some menuing here as we switch it over to the hammer from the ice rod. 5 hammer hits will take care of the red head. And switch on over to the red fire rod, and let's do the same thing here, but we can't switch over while the explosion's going on, so we have to wait that one out.
Very well done by Hacksaww to get the fire rod out to prevent any ice from getting on the ground.
So Leyra's gonna go check the big key chest here in Swamp. Leyra needs the bow. The bow turned out to be the reward for the green pendant. Hacksaww finished off with both of the ice and fire heads. Final part of Trinex coming up.
Meanwhile, it looks like Leyra is going to go back and check the big key chest as he found the big key down in Swamp Palace's basement.
I want to point out that this is not the final destination here for Hacksaww. He cannot go to Ganon's Tower after this.
Yep, we still get to go see Misery Mire. Round 2 for him, though this time it will just be heading straight to the boss.
Piece of Heart, the reward for beating Trinex. And with that crystal, Hacksaww is now at 6 crystals down. Trip to Misery Mire to pick up number 7.
And it looks like Leyra elected to skip left side on his initial clear, but is now going back to do it. So that'll open up 2 more chests for him.
And we know both items have already been accounted for in Misery Mire. They were both upgrades, a arrow upgrade and a bomb upgrade. So we know we cannot find what we are seeking here in Mire. Leyra is still searching through Swamp. Best case scenario for Leyra is we find both the cape and the 4th sword upgrade in here.
Yeah, that would be the absolute best case and would really change the way this race is going to play out. Because as Hacksaww, I mean, you finish this, you have to go into GT. You can't be looking around the world for a sword.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Your next stop is Ganon's Tower. Hope it's one of the items in there.
Yeah, with, 22 chest locations, plus the big key, the big chest, which you can actually check now if you're still hunting for swords. But so, Leyra finds a whole lot of nothing on the left side, and is now looks like he's going to go deal with the boss.
2 hearts. That was all we found. There's the big key for Hacksaww. He's gonna still have to deal with the dark rooms here in Misery Mire.
Yep, never making his way over to where the lamp was.
Thankfully, Leyra are now remembering the fact that they had already drained the water, so they don't have to go ahead and play with the statue again. And we have to feel that Hacksaww does know his dark room's coming up, but here's a good test of whether or not Hacksaww really does know his dark rooms. There's a bomb upgrade. The map will be at Argus. There are no swords here in Swamp. And Leyra getting that final item, gets on out of here. And where's the next stop for Leyra? Please don't go into Thieves Town.
Hacksaww is having some problems here. He's still got a fair bit of health, but there he goes.
There we
Gets
go.
through the tough part. But he is low on health, and I don't know what his bottle situation is.
Leyra is heading for Hookshot Cave, and now that's going to be good, but it's also going to be bad. Because Leyra is going to be bound to check that one particular spot, the Pyramid Ferry. That's a check we're probably not going to see from Hacksaww, unless he doesn't find a sword.
That's true. Yeah, that is one of the other locations that could have it. As for Leyra, I got to imagine at this point that he's not going to head back into Ice until he gets the item out of Thieves Town, just because that's a faster check than doing Ice Palace.
Absolutely. And so, at this point, you may be wondering, where is this bow? I've gone this far without the bow at this point. This is just getting to be really bad. You're getting nervous. It's an hour 46. This is a 4-1 match. You know your opponent is really good at this stage in the tournament.
Now let's see if Hacksaww can get a clean Silver Arrows fight, because he does not have much health to mess around with.
Oh, he's got this. This is easy.
Excellent nose cycle.
Beautiful fight there for Hacksaww. Gets the compass. And with that, that is the 7th and final crystal for Hacksaww.
But not Go Mode.
So we're going to be playing a game here.
And what a wonderful game it is.
You want to go ahead and start talking about this game?
So, it is a tradition here with the speedrunners that chat will make the guess of which of the 22 chests in Ganon's Tower will have the big key. Get your guesses in here quickly, because as soon as Hacksaww enters Ganon's Tower, the betting is off. And as this is one of the speedrun gaming channels, if you've donated, 250 bits or more, you can be entered into the leaderboard.
Or you can be a subscriber. However, the bot right now does not appear to be working. So that's going to be something. I'm going to go ahead and guess chest number 2.
Chest number 2?
Yeah, it's going to be a nerve-wracking Ganon's Tower, because it's going to be early big key, but you know Hacksaw's not stopping at chest 2. He's going to be digging deep to try to find where the sword is.
Yeah, I actually like chest number 3. I want it to be on the light pedestal, just because it's funny. I live for the day where I see a race with that and our runners not having boots.
And at this point, unless Pyramid Ferry has both the final sword upgrade and the cape, we're bound to find the progression towards the next sword upgrade in Ganon's Tower. But it could also still be in Thieves Town.
Yep. Thieves Town could have one of the items, and not much else.
Leyra's not really happy about how this Turtle Rock is going at this point, and I think a lot of it has to do with some on-tilt play. Because again, hour 49. This is about the point where you see runners finishing at this level.
Yeah. If I was in his shoes, I would definitely be just expecting done any minute here.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and check the torch first, and the torch is a small key.
So I was a little bit right. It is interesting that Hacksaww is choosing to completely skip right side. I'll be curious to know, asking him later, if this is a standard routing for him or if he's feeling behind and wanted to gamble a little bit on skipping right.
Yeah, he could be pulling what is the Dark Magician route by getting these first chest over here, then mirroring and doing the right-hand side. It could pay off. And nope, we're not going to do that since we're killing the Sandfalses. And Stun Price turns out to be a heart. That's nice to know, but that's not something you really care about at this point. You want to find where a sword is.
Yep, and Leyra is doing our Ice Rod Hammer fight on Trinex. Got a little bit off on the Firehead.
Hey, there's one of our 2 single rupees of the game.
Leyra's struggling, but the heads are actually cooperating, and he does not get any ice on the ground despite a long left head kill.
Yeah, it looks like Leyra has now just succumbed to the idea of just swording this head down.
Well, with double magic, it's pretty reasonable to just shoot a bunch of fire rod shots at it.
Nice 10 bomb upgrade. Hacksaww replies by just dispersing a few of them at this point. Might as well.
Yep, you only need 1 or 2 more to finish this seed.
2 more at this point.
Yeah.
1 to get into the Armos Knights, and then 1 beyond that. Oh, bug catching net. Heart container. There's our sword upgrade.
All right.
1 hour, 41 minutes, and 48 seconds. Hacksaww is finally in. This is where you say go mode.
Oh, were you waiting on me? Hacksaw's in go mode.
Thank you.
But he still hasn't found the big key, which is actually kind of hilarious.
Yeah, it would have been interesting if we had found the big key early on, and that way you'd have to try to make a guess of whether or not you were going to go to the end, continue this path.
Yeah, still that's got to be a huge relief for him.
50 rupees in there. We're going to head on over to the Armos Knights. Leyra, you've got to get into the palace, into the Ice Palace, but we're going to go to Thieves Town and see what's in that 1 chest you left behind early. Small key, map, and powder.
Well, we found the best safety. So there's only 5 locations left. Are we going to get to see or 7 locations? Will we get to see Tile Room?
Small key there. Heart container there.
And Leyra's making the expected play into Thieves Town before doing Ice Rod.
Yeah, before going back into Ice Palace, which that is where we need to go. Green Pendant yields the bow in this seed.
Yep. And while it is unfortunate that he did mirror out, at the time, it was a very, very reasonable play from him. So, it's unfortunate it worked out this way, but it's certainly a very defendable decision.
Yeah, you can totally understand why the move was made, but it's just unfortunate that it turned out to be this way. So here we have 20 rupees. Oh, the cape is there! So now we know how we're supposed to get to that third sword. I had Leyra find that out.
And Hacksaww choosing to pick up one more key before going up the tower so he doesn't have to kill the beetle.
Yep, getting that 2 key here, and now we know that this will be absolutely nothing. 20 rupees inside.
Yep, and Hacksaww on pace to finish up just a little bit after 2 hours.
Yeah, and probably wondering, where is that done? Why is my opponent not finishing at this point? And Leyra at this point is going to be feeling sick. Because Leyra knows this is why they lost this race immediately. This is not anything that's up for debate. Leyra knows that this is the exact reason why they're going to lose this race when they find that the bow was at the green pendant.
Yep. And this has been one of the tricky things with V29. There's been a lot of seeds where one major progression item is just hiding off in who knows where, and it has decided a lot of races. So now we'll see how clean of a Ganon's Tower or Gauntlet Hacksaww has.
Getting the magic refill there is going to help Hacksaww. So he's going to switch on over to the Fire Rod because you can have a wider hitbox there with the Fire Rod than you would with the arrows, which definitely help out in some of these rooms. And we're seeing that happen immediately.
Yep, and the faster travel speed can make it a lot easier with some of these conveyor belt rooms or the trolly little red guys jumping around.
And less lag too.
Yes.
Hacksaww does have potions. We may see him have to switch to one soon. And not just immediately, though.
And chooses to skip getting the fairy there. That's interesting, because that's...
He wants the timing to be right for this Lammo 2 here with the silver arrows, so I can totally understand that.
That's true, and that was a very nicely done one cycle.
I'm surprised they were opting to go with the bomb jump at this position. I can understand why this stage, but this is just a rush to Cold Stare.
I think the bomb jump is a little bit faster to get down to Cold Stare if you haven't already pushed the block down, but I'm not sure. I also don't know if he actually has all of the keys necessary to get down there.
The way the seed wanted you to beat it was with the Cane of Samaria.
Gotcha. I just mean getting down into that room, because that requires a small key that he doesn't have right now.
Yeah, Cold Stare has that key. Hacksaww checking for a sword that he's not going to get. The 2 swords was in the Palace of Darkness, big key chest, bumper cave having the tempered sword.
And Hacksaww still looking for tempered. Can't blame him, but we know he will not be finding it.
All right, Boldorm 2. Swing 1, swing 2, swing 3. Decent fight. Good
Very
job
cooperative
for Hacksaww.
Boldorm. And Leyra finishes off his Cold Stare fight, and will be very quickly heading over to Hut.
Yeah, and then we'll be totally upset once he finds out that the bow was at Sahasrara all along.
Yep, and with 3 crystals still left to do, it would take a miracle for him to even get into Ganon's Tower before Hacksaww finishes. But crazy things have happened.
Yeah, who knows what's going to end up happening, although that was a nice set there for Hacksaww. I don't know if that was a triple, but I know that was a single. Yeah, I believe we're at 5 right now, so one more hit will knock Aghanim down. Nope. Okay, so that was just a double. That looked like it could have been a triple.
Yep. That.
So, Aga 2, done. Let's do some sword spins.
Yeah, we get to see the odd combination of Master Sword and Silvers.
Hacksaww, at this point, wondering why his opponent hasn't finished. Leyra, now seeing that bow, knows the inevitable is probably going to end up happening while we finish up some of the dungeons. Go mode here for Leyra, but it's just unfortunate the way this race went.
Yep. Yeah, this is a very frustrating way to lose a game. But you just gotta put it behind you. You still have a chance to get in by winning next week. Or, well, in 2 weeks.
Yeah, week number 7, which is going to be a dog fight at that 4-2 level. Hacksaw's got Ganon in a decent position here, but unfortunately was unable to get full advantage of it. Gets him in another good position here. And still on Trident stage.
Yeah, he's had a lot of good positioning, but has not been able to get the spins to line up with it.
And now we're in stage 2, so 12 spins per cycle is what you need to do in order to get him over to the next, into the next cycle. Another rough position here for Ganon. Now, Hacksaww does have the cape if he so wants to try to quicken this fight by using the cape to maximize sword spins, but he's not opting to do that just yet. Now he does. He wanted to wait for him to get into the good position.
That, or he was waiting to see if he got hit again, to try to preserve more of his life.
We get into stage 3. Okay.
This is actually a fairly tricky stage with doing spins.
Yeah, we're getting the bats on the screen here, and they all help add to the excitement and fun of this adventure.
Yep, but he gets past the bats and he should be in the home stretch now. Just needs to get 4 arrows after this next spin.
Yeah, and here's the thing. This is a stressful fight because of how late you dug the seed. How late you got the bow. Ooh, and we lose the torch glitch because we ran out of magic. That shouldn't be a major problem.
Nope, but it is a little more awkward to get those stuns on Ganon with Master Sword.
Yep, and this one here, shaping up for a single over the corner, gets him a second hit, and then the torches will go out. Ooh, that was going to be dangerous a little bit longer. Could we get a double here? Yes, we do! Hacksaww, with the win, will qualify for brackets with the win over LeyraGG.
And Hacksaww has finished the race with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 2 minutes, and 38 seconds.
SR.TV, but nonetheless, a good finish here for Hacksaww.
Whoops, yes.
And Leyra seeing the results at this point in time.
Yeah, that's it. With how trolly the seed was, getting just over 2 hours is a pretty solid time. So we're gonna try to get Hacksaww in here, and then Leyra. So if you give us just a minute, we'll get those interviews lined up.
And by the way, Leyra has hit the did not finish button, as we're trying to figure out where the best place to put a cold, icy Myrtledactyl. And I think we're going to have an exhibition on how to flambe a Myrtledactyl.
I mean, that's one of the few good uses for those things.
And like I said, Leyra knew exactly where this seed went bad. All right. I haven't seen that one before. Well, apparently the cucumbers do fly in space. And let's go ahead and welcome in the winner of this race and new qualifier for brackets, Hacksaww. GG, congratulations.
Thank you. As far as winner, yeah, that seed just, I don't know what it did to us, but it wasn't nice.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't nice. Now, where did you think the seed? I mean, where did you think you were compared to your opponent in this seed when you got the bow off Sahasrara?
At that point, I knew anything was possible. I had no idea if I was ahead, behind. I just knew the difference was going to be pretty big.
What about when you dug Turtle Rock early and came up empty?
That was like the one play that made me feel behind, because it's pretty much lost time. It's 3 or 4 minutes gone, because you go back to do it without grabbing any chests or anything. It only takes about 3 or 4 minutes to get to the end, but still, going in there, usually you find something. This time, not so much.
Turns out that your opponent was doing the same exact move along with you at that point. They dug Turtle Rock just as well. The big turning point in this race was Ice Palace. What made you go to Cold Stare?
It's never Swamp. Just, I don't know why. For me, it's never Swamp. I don't like going there. I never find anything good there, so I just stay out of Swamp.
And it turned out your opponent got the third item out of Ice Palace, mirrored out, and just as you found the bow.
Wow.
That was the turning point of the race. They checked everything else. Now, there was one chest you left behind in the Palace of Darkness. The big key chest. It had an item in it. You want to take a guess what it had in there?
I'm going to guess that something to do with Master Sword, maybe?
Yes, that was the second sword upgrade. And another interesting thing, I don't think you ever checked it. Did you ever see what Bumper Cave was?
No, but I bet that was a sword too.
Yeah, there's the other sword. So there's the other locations of the two swords you never saw.
You know, I was running by Bumper Cave going over to Graveyard Ledge thinking, I haven't checked what Bumper Cave is. Then I was like, I don't have the cape. It's pretty late. I'm probably not going to find the cape. No big deal. So I knew I hadn't been there, but yeah.
Turns out, nice place for that cape.
So jumping back to earlier in the seed, you guys got Dark World access at about 12 minutes. What were you thinking when that happened?
That's when you know something weird's going to happen. It's just, you get the mitts, you get the moon pearl, and so much opens up. But at the same time, I think at that point we had Fire Rod and the canes as weapons, and that was it. So it's a little bit awkward going places. Like, I knew I couldn't go and beat Mothula just because you need the sword to slash the curtains. So it was kind of weird having to go in there, get the boots, then go to desert to get the sword off of the torch, to go back there to get the flippers, to go get the mirror off the Zora ledge so that I could get the hammer out of the lake.
I was so waiting for either one of you guys to try to do the water dash to get a sequence break to either that hammer or the mirror. And obviously the sequence finally came together when we found the flippers.
It was in the back of my mind doing that. I was seriously thinking of doing that just to get that hammer and see what happens. But with that and sequence being so far off and not having the mirror, it makes things really weird. And then you got to try to figure out what's in and out of logic. And
so
go ahead.
How about the progression here that said Oh, you know that sword that's on the torch in Desert? You need that to double up Skull Wood so you can beat Mothula to get the progression.
Yeah, being able to figure that one out relatively quick felt kind of good because it was, you know, hey, I figured this part out of it pretty quick. That was a big, huge troll. And then just kind of getting stuck going everywhere, dipping Turtle Rock, getting nothing. It was just ugly.
That it was. And speaking of swords, how did it feel going into Ganon's tower with only Fighter Sword?
Yeah, I've never felt a better feeling in my life, you know, getting through Ganon's tower with Fighter Sword. Yeah.
And then finding the Master Sword in the randomizer room.
Yeah, you know, usually I go left, I check that room with the 4 chests and the Stalfos, mirror out, go get the 4 on the right side, and then go back left in case I don't have the big key. This time I was thinking, you know, just go full left because you're probably going to need to do that anyway just to find a sword. So it was kind of lucky that I found the sword there and the key ended up being on the right.
So you're now 5-1. You're now qualified for the brackets next week. There's less stress on your run than would be if you dropped to 4-2. Your thoughts going into week number 7?
I like the no stress deal. I really do. I'm still gonna try as hard as I can to win. You know, it's I would rather be 6-1, but you know, hey, 5-2 still makes it. But next week's gonna be fun, definitely for me. I know Leyra's probably feeling a little pressure next week, but he's an awesome player. He's gonna do just fine. He'll be in the brackets with me.
Yeah, we'll see how week number 7 treats the Leyra. 4-2 gets into that deadly little gauntlet that is the 4-2s. Win, and you move on. Lose, and you may be going home. So, GG to both of you guys. Oh, one thing I do want to talk about. And Emlyn, we had quite the conversation about, in awe about one particular fight in general. You know which fight that is, Emlyn?
I'm trying to think of which one you're referring to. There's a couple I can think of.
One.
Oh, right.
Wait, which one again?
Lamo 1 with no sword.
Yeah, that was ugly.
So have you ever had to do bombs on land molars? Have you ever practiced that, or did you just wing it?
Not we were just totally winging it and hoping that, I mean, you got to set the bombs really early for them to go off while he's out and just get lucky. I was just hoping for the best, really.
The way you played that fight almost seemed like you had experience doing that because of just how well the bombs were hitting towards the end there.
No, that was just dumb luck. I'd rather be lucky than good, I promise.
Well, either way, it was definitely a treat to watch. That's a very odd occurrence to have in a seed.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed watching that. I was almost out of breath at the end there when I dropped that last bomb.
Yeah, that was nerve-wracking there at the very end because do you have enough bombs to kill this last Lamo? You did. Congratulations. And then the other fight that I'd like to talk about is your Mothula fight. That seemed really textbook.
Yeah, Mothula really, it's about patience. You know, it's nice to go in there and have Butter Sword or Red Sword and be able to destroy him in 4 hits, but when you've only got Fighter Sword, you know you've got to use the Fire Rod. The Fighter Sword, I think, takes 20 hits. Spin attacks really aren't practical. I don't think I had the hammer at that point, so I couldn't even use that. No, I didn't have the hammer, so I couldn't use the hammer. It was just Fire Rod. It was just, you know, wait till he gets down off the spikes, make sure you use the most out of the Fire Rod.
But GG on that. Great job. And as like I said, you're now moving on in this tournament. You're going to be part of that 128 player bracket.
Yeah, it feels good, man.
And also get a GG there for Leyra. Just one incident there with Ice Palace, and apparently not having a key to backtrack and either had to mirror or just do something in regards to that dungeon turned out to be the fatal blow there for Leyra. But, you know, let me say this. It was a fantastic effort. Just one turn is worth a seed. unglued a runner, and was Ice Palace.
And that is how Randomizer goes. What is a perfectly defendable play, sometimes it just screws you.
Absolutely. So, GG to both of our runners. Be sure to follow them. We have Hacksaww and LeyraGG. Give your GGs for both of these runners and be sure to follow them as they continue on into week number 7 of this tournament and hopefully for both beyond.
Yep.
All right. So, Emlyn, you want to talk about what else we got going on here in the Speed Gaming channels and also on the link to the past Randomizer channels?
I would love to, if I can pull up the schedule. But we have still quite a few games left. So this week 6 ends up being a 2-week affair for us due to RPG Limit Break going on. So there will be still a Link to the Past games running all the way through next Sunday. Coming up at 11 p.m. on Speed Gaming 2, we're going to have Super Nintendo versus Maniacal.
Or Maniacal.
Maniacal. Yes, that is how you pronounce that. Words. Other than that, I think that is going to be the last race of tonight that is being restreamed.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun match between those two. They've known each other from other tournaments. I've seen them in a different community, so it's going to be a lot of fun with those two. Super Nintendo versus Maniacal. Should be a fun matchup coming up at 11 o'clock. A lot of great matches coming up tomorrow. Channels still to be decided. Yeah, I know I have some work to do. And so let's go ahead and get on out of here. Special thanks to everyone running in the background for us. Deuce May, who clicked the buttons, made sure that everything showed up on the tracker the way they're supposed to for Fuse on the Gang and Speed Gaming. I'm Adirondack Rick.
I'm Emlyn.
You have the last word. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.
Thank you, everyone, for sticking around. It's been great. Have a good one.